Okay, well, we've got a great talk up next. I want to welcome to the stage Lily Kanter and Tina Sharkey for our first Fireside chat. And so let me introduce them first. So Lily is a multi-time North Bay entrepreneur. She's got a 25-year track record. She co-founded and led the home furnishing company Serena and Lily, which I'm sure you all have heard about. She did that for 13 years out of Sausalito. That's an incredible North Bay success story. She also founded and ran Boone Supply out of Mill Valley. She's the co-founder and CEO of Good Movement, which is a platform for change makers. And she is going to be joined by her neighbor and good friend, Tina Sharkey, who herself is a distinguished brand builder, board member, advisor, investor, founder, educator, and legend. And fun fact, I just will pause about Tina. Tina and I mentioned the DC tech scene, 20 years ago. She and I actually worked out of the same building at AOL 20 years ago in that DC tech scene. So it's really a small world. But Tina is currently a lecturer at the Business of Innovation, on Business of Innovation at USC. She serves on the board for PBS, and she's a great person. So Lily and Tina, come on up.
Hello. Yes.
Okay.
They are working.
Hello, Marin. Oh my gosh. Woohoo! It's so good to be in our hometown, or our home county, as it were. As you know, I'm Tina Sharkey. So many familiar faces in the room, so much inspiration from Helen, from Com, from so many places. We raised our kids here. And I wanted to start by introducing you to Lily the way I got introduced to Lily. So I was living in New York City, commuting to AOL, and I got relocated here. I was hired by J&J to come turn around a company in San Francisco called Baby Center. And I called our friend Tiffany Schlane, also a Marin mama and amazing human who I knew from New York. And I said, Tiffany, I'm moving to Mill Valley. She said, I'm moving to Mill Valley from the city. I said, great. I said, well, I have a week. I have a new job. I don't have a nanny. I have kids. I don't have a car. I don't even think I have a driver's license because I'm a New Yorker. So I need friends. I need this. I need that. She says, don't worry. I'm going to fix you up. So day 2 in Mill Valley. I think I had a car at that point. I'm not sure I knew how to drive it. And I was told to meet Lily Kanter at the Dipsy Cafe. So I found the Dipsy Cafe. Very hard time making a left into that parking lot. And I go in the back door, and there's this gal sitting at a table, and that was our first date. I was here for 3 days, and we got on like a house on fire. We're like finishing each other's sentences, and I said, look, girl, I have all these things I got to do. Can we just agree to be best friends, and I can cross it off my list? And she said, absolutely, and that was 14 years ago, and we've been best friends ever since. So that was my first proposal. And that's how we met.
True story. It's been an amazing friendship and an amazing business relationship mixed into friendship. And yeah.
Yeah. So I've had the privilege to be an investor in all of Lily's companies. Every time she asks me to go on the board, I say, no, I can't be on your board because I'm sitting in your kitchen cabinet. And so there's a big difference between being a board member and being a kitchen cabinet member. And I would always prefer to be a kitchen cabinet member because that means we are on text 24/7. We're there for the good, the challenging, and the opportunities, for the celebrations and the milestones. And so now I'm going to take you back to when I first met Lily, and she had just started a company called Serena and Lily. So Lily, can you school us in the story from getting out of Seattle, where she was a global leader at Microsoft, on the cover of Time magazine as one of the most influential philanthropists shaping the 21st century, came down to San Francisco because Gates asked you to open up their retail operations here, and you did that. And then you and Mark got in a car to find out where you were going to live.
So at the time, in 1998, my husband and I were moving actually from Los Angeles. I was managing the Western US for Microsoft. We had 3 dogs and no children. We looked everywhere in the city for a proper place to live, and we couldn't find the right place. Somebody said, go to Mill Valley, you're gonna love Mill Valley. We drove into town, and every single car we saw drive next to us had a dog sitting shotgun. So we said, this is our town, and that is a true story. We ended up buying our home 25 years ago in Mill Valley, and we will probably never leave. We love the town. I was fortunate enough to talk Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer into giving me $8 million to open the very first retail bricks and mortar for Microsoft at the Metreon back in 1999. And this was before Apple even had a store front, if you can believe that. That's what brought us to the Bay Area. And in 2000, I got pregnant with our first child. I was traveling probably 4 days a week, and I decided that it was time to off-ramp corporate America and have my first baby. So what happened after that was I decided not to go back to corporate America. I decided to open a baby and kids store in downtown Mill Valley, put my baby in a stroller and stroll him into town and put him in a crib and help customers.
And from there, after your second kid, and I'm not sure if it was Zeke or Nate, when one day somebody walked into your shop, you were probably 9.5 months pregnant, and said, can I show you my work?
So actually the story is like this. I was at Marin General giving birth to baby number 2 in October of 2003, and Serena, who was a freelance decorative painter and artist at the time, stopped by Mill Valley Baby and Kids and left her absolutely magnificent portfolio to show me. And so my store manager said, Lily's gonna love your work, but she's having a baby today. And Serena was like, well, could you have her call me in a few weeks, 6 weeks, whenever she gets back to work? Well, the next day, the baby was about 20 hours old. I was waiting for my 2-year-old to get into a nap. And I stopped by Mill Valley Baby and Kids to do some show and tell and, make sure my baby, my 2-year-old, was in a nap before I brought home a brand new baby. So I'm flipping through Serena's portfolio, and it's absolutely magnificent. And I pick up the phone and I call her. And she's like, hold on a second. Aren't you the woman that was having a baby yesterday? And I was like, yes, but that was yesterday and today's today. So.
And that is when Serena and Lily was born. And so you had 2 kids, a new company. You still own Mill Valley Baby. So from there, you and Serena decided to go off on this journey. But that journey did not take you to San Francisco. You kept it right here in Marin. You found a place in Sausalito, and you started the company.
There was a lot that happened between that. So she came in. We met about a week after baby number 2 was born. She took me through 3 portfolios. One of them was decorative painting. I said, I love your work. Will you paint my entire store? And we'll set up different vignettes, baby girl's room, baby boy's room, big girl's room, big boy's room. And then she opened her portfolio, and it was artwork for kids' rooms. And I said, I have a Giclée art business. Let's do some artwork for kids' rooms. I have 75 wholesale accounts. And she's like, okay, check that box. Third portfolio she opened was, she was doing textile designs. And I said, I love your textile designs, and the world needs better baby bedding. And she said, I agree. What I would want in my nursery doesn't exist. So I said, well, do you have a vision for that? And she said, I do. I go, why don't you bring it to me and let's look at it. And about 6 weeks later, she brought me that vision. And I said, I absolutely love it. Let's do this. And we embarked on that journey in 2003. So the company is about 20 years old. And we literally printed our first catalog in Memorial Day weekend, 2004. And we started shipping product in October of 2004. And we opened up 600 wholesale doors within the first year of business. So we were a baby and kids, mostly textiles in the wholesale business. And now it's July of 2005, and I have a third baby. And now I've got 3 boys under the age of 4. And I have Serena and Lily that's growing like a wildfire, and I have Mill Valley Baby and Kids, and I have a husband who's ready to, chop my head off. So And so something had to give. One of my customers, great customer, would come in. She always bought a lot of things. She came in one day to buy a bunk bed, and I said, Stacy, I decided to sell the store. If you know anybody who would like to buy this store, I really need to get focused on Serena and Lily. So she called me back 2 hours later, and she's like, I want to buy your store. So we sold the store in December of 2005 and focused 100% of our attention. We were operating Serena and Lily behind the counter of Mill Valley Baby and Kids and looking up from time to time to help a customer. But that's really where the company started. And we moved down the street to Miller Avenue, and we opened a little office to ship our first 600 wholesale doors. And then we found this amazing space in Sausalito, and we just kept going. We kept taking over the building at 10 Liberty Ship.
Exactly. And I'm proud to say, as an investor in Serena and Lily, that, the first institutional money that came into that company came from introductions that might even be in this room right now.
Yes, I don't know where Mark Toole is, but I did see him in the hallway. Mark is the husband of one of our first employees, and I like to say that Sam Toole was one of our first adult supervision that we hired. She had 10 years of background of building marketing for a startup, and Sam came and joined us in the early days and introduced us to Mark, who was helping small businesses find funding. And I believe it was Tommy Mike from Mark Toole's office that introduced us to Kirsten Green from Forerunner in 2008. And I don't need to tell many of you in the room what was going on in 08 and 09, but it was a financial meltdown.
Not good.
And
And then you took your money from there. You continued to grow. You raised more money, some from the Valley, and then it became really a growth round. Serena and Lily was on such a tear that you took private equity money to actually grow the company and brought in another level of management, kept the company anchored in Sausalito. And so how many employees roughly did you have?
Around a little over 200. We started opening retail stores, I want to say 2013, 2014, we opened a store in the Hamptons. We started opening retail stores about 10 years after we started the company. One of the case studies that I teach down at Stanford is about being careful with working capital and growth. When you have a growth company that requires a tremendous amount of working capital, it's not a really great recipe for venture money. You really, honestly, you need to slow it down. You need to get profitable, and you need to be able to get a credit line to support working capital needs, because honestly, it's not accretive to continue to raise equity capital to fuel a 70% CAGR over 7 years. I went to see Gordon Siegel, who founded Crate and Barrel, and he literally, honestly laughed me out of his office. He said, "What are you doing? You're crazy." He said, "The fastest I ever grew Crate and Barrel was 11%. And he said, even that year was tough. So very cautionary tale. But I understand in today's world that if you don't grow a brand fast, somebody's going to eat your lunch and knock you off because of the world of Instagram and all of the other beautiful social media tools. So it's a really fine balance for a company that requires working capital. But I'm proud to say we did it.
So what's incredible, I think that is worthy of a clap and a pause. Because Serena and Lily is really, it's a legacy for you and for Serena, who've now, both of you have gone on to found not one in Serena's case, she has Serena Dugan Design, and she's now also based in Sausalito, a stone's throw from your original office. And if you don't know that company, you should definitely check it out. She's continuing in her gorgeous artistry to create textiles and and home goods. But then you went on to found not one, but two more companies. I'm sure there's some in there that I missed, but I know I'm on a couple of cap tables. And I'm also an advisor to the latest company, Good Movement. But what I want to frame up before we talk about Good Movement is your journey from entrepreneurship into social entrepreneurship. Because, one of the things I teach down at USC, I'm a professor of innovation. I run all of our student-led ventures and our entrepreneurship at the Iovine and Young Academy. Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre started an academy to teach students that the intersection of technology, entrepreneurship, culture, and design. And so we have an academy there where we're launching ventures. And I always say that, it's purpose-led businesses that are going to change the world, that entrepreneurs are the people that are going to change the world. There's been such a loss of trust in institutions and governments. We see what's happening in our country today and around the world, that I believe that entrepreneurs can be the leaders. And the loss of trust in institutions has actually garnered trust in business leaders. So now not only do we have a responsibility to our boards, not only do we have a responsibility to our stakeholders, we now have a responsibility to build a better society. And so as a bridge to that, purpose and meaning should be anchored in commerce as one of the ways in which to fuel the good. So talk to us a little bit about that journey.
Sure. I was in a good place at a great time when I was at Microsoft, and it afforded me the ability to start a small private charitable foundation back in 2000. And I started supporting very direct philanthropy. That's why I was on the cover. Time magazine was for venture philanthropy. And I started supporting youth in the mission that were working at the Metreon Microsoft store, and started paying for their scholarships to get certified in technology. And they started getting great jobs in the Valley with certifications. And I realized that, doing direct philanthropy, working as a social entrepreneur really fueled my soul and really gave me a lot of meaning. I ended up, as we raised our children, we traveled them around the world to literally refugee camps and many social entrepreneurship projects. And it was literally the most meaningful thing we did as a family, and really built a lot of meaning and purpose with my children. So I have always wanted to crack the code on reimagining capitalism to be a much wider stakeholder model. Tina recommended to me to get into the Crown Fellowship program at the Aspen Institute. I was fortunate enough to be one of the fellows in 2008. And I met this woman, Tamsin Smith, who was one of the early founders and president of the Red Movement. They gave back $220 million for the Global Fund for AIDS, and 2 years with their partnership with the Gap, American Express, and Apple. And so I've been on a journey since I've left Serena and Lily in 2016. I took a year off, I decompressed, and I've really been at the intersection of commerce and giving back. I mean, Girl Scout Cookies is an $850 million business. We can certainly crack the code with commerce and the ability to give back, and there's certainly no shortage of nonprofits and other causes that need this type of donations. So that's what I have been working on for the last couple years, and it started off as Boone Supply, and Boone Supply was in schools and team sports, and unfortunately COVID was not our friend in that model, because when all the schools and all the teams closed down, so did the company. And so we have reimagined the technology as Good Movement, and we are in all kinds of opportunities right now. We're in mostly on college campuses with young social entrepreneurs.
Yeah, so talking about Good Movement is a platform. Good Movement is fueling entrepreneurs, and Good Movement is both doing micro engagements with teams and clubs, and then we'll be moving into fueling bigger corporate and enterprise initiatives by doing well and doing good. And so do you want to talk a little bit about the vision for Good Movement, what you're doing now, and what you see the roadmap for the not just for the company, but as a role model for the future of social entrepreneurship?
Sure. Right now, it's literally an earn, learn, give back model. We're to my earlier point about inventory. Tina used this great line: inventory is not a weight worth carrying. So we are literally a platform. We are drop shipping everything and partnering with other brands, but we started off as a print on demand for t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, and tote bags. So everything is print on demand, meaning it's made to order. And we're working with college artists as well as very accomplished artists with large followings. And we're now beginning to partner with other brands that are wanting to be involved and give back. And our vision is to white label the solution for corporations. Instead, if you can imagine, instead of having an outlet store, having an impact store that gives back. Every single retailer on the planet has excess inventory that they need to deal with. And they usually deal with it through liquidation of some sort, through outlet stores. But if they could give back a sizable percent of that revenue and liquidate their inventory at the same time, it's a really a beautiful model of positive impact. So many of them have employees that want to see measurable impact from the corporations they're working with. So our vision from a channel standpoint is really micro fundraisers, because we've built technology that is GoFundMe sitting on top of e-commerce. So one can launch a fundraiser for any cause, whether it's their local pet rescue to the American Cancer Society. We're agnostic. And they can share it with their friends and family, and the friends and family can either shop or directly donate. And so it's a hybrid model.
So just to put some numbers around this, Lily, I know that Boone hit COVID in a bit of a head-on collision, but having said that, Boone did amazing things. And so how much money did Boone give back over the course of its lifetime?
So we bought the assets of a school fundraising company that was already in 2,500 schools nationwide. And before we digitized the business, it was a paper form business. It was giving back 40%. And they had donated just under $70 million back to schools. When we came in 2018 and digitized the platform, we did $20 million in our first year of business. And between that time and mid-22, we gave back $28 million back to schools and teams. Extremely powerful model in terms of using commerce. I'll be honest and tell you that at a 40% give back, the financial fundamentals of the business honestly didn't work as a for-profit to have anybody on paid staff. So we really had to reduce the give back in order to make the financial fundamentals work for the company. So right now we're at 25% and we have a very healthy contribution margin.
Yeah, which is amazing. So you've heard her talk about starting Mill Valley Baby, then anchoring that in a relationship that led to Serena and Lily, which then led to the conversion of commerce into social commerce and enabling 1,000 flowers to bloom at schools, on teams, on fields around the country, which then led to the inspiration of Good Movement. And so in addition to being a hopeaholic, you're also a social entrepreneur that is not only creating incredible good and spreading that wealth, but also a role model for everyone here and really for the country and the world. And it's a privilege to sit on your advisory boards, to sit on your cap tables, and to be your next door neighbor and your partner in crime. Being that partner in crime, not only do I get a front row seat to her as an entrepreneur, but I also am an extended member of the family, and that goes both ways. And Lily and Mark walk their walk. And so we have neighbors in Mill Valley that have an incredible platform and social wealth management company called The Assembly. And Lily and Mark have started a speaker series to bring their philanthropy and their stories and their walk around the world into our neighborhood. So do you want to talk a little bit about yours and Mark's vision and the work that you're doing in the community?
Sure. I mean, community is everything to me. I love community. I think it's what brings us the most joy and happiness in our lives. And so within that spirit, we started, I've had the really amazing opportunity to get up and close and personal and support some amazing social entrepreneurs around the planet doing amazing work. So we started this speaker series several months ago, and our first speaker was a gentleman who's literally climbed the highest peak in every continent and started eye clinics to take away cataracts. They've now done 2 million eye surgeries. For $20 in Nepal, you can give somebody back their eyesight. And so Jeff Tabin was our first speaker. Last Saturday night, we had a gentleman by the name of Scott Neeson, who literally dropped everything in Hollywood, sold off. He was the president of 20th Century Fox. He sold off his home, his cars, his life, his boat, and he started taking children off of a trash dump in Phnom Penh, and now he's rescued 2,800 children off of the most rancid conditions I've ever witnessed in my life, and he's put them through world-class education. One of those children is getting a PhD in thumbprint technology right now in England. I mean, these people blow my mind. So I like to expose their stories, bring community together, and get people involved.
So this is what happens when you light up a Marin entrepreneur. I think one thing that makes this county so special is that, and from the Crown Fellowship perspective, there's a lot of success in this county. There's a lot of wealth in this county. But we have a responsibility with that wealth. We have a responsibility with that privilege to go from success to significance and success to impact. And I'm looking at my friend Deb Luster, who looks like she's in the back of a New York taxi with her head bobbing up and down, because, you know, as the founder of Annie's Mac and Cheese, as a serial entrepreneur that does so much social good, I'm looking for Catherine Rice. Where is she? I know she's here. As a private equity investor, like there's a small community that ripples into a larger community of people who invest in each other, who support each other, who convene other people so that we can spread the virus of good and continue the conversation. And so kudos to Elizabeth, kudos to Zach for bringing this all together and the privilege to be able to share Lily's story. Lily, is there anything that you'd like to leave this incredible audience with your inspiration, as if you haven't dropped enough this morning?
Well, I think, it's so important to kind of find your superpower and figure out how to leave your legacy in the world, because that's what, obviously I'm still building a company. I should be retired by now. I can be retired, but I feel like with my abilities in terms of how I know how to build companies and brands, how can I use that to leave a legacy in a new model? I think we need new models. I hope I don't offend anybody by saying that I do think that capitalism has run amok, and I do believe that we need to figure out more of a stakeholder model that takes into account other stakeholders other than just everyone at the top making more money. So that's my legacy that I'm working on, and I plan to work on that until I'm finished.
As my father likes to say, until I see the grass. So, in new work that I'm doing at USC and that I give lots of talks on is called the DNA of the modern brand. And so I will leave you with one of the sort of frameworks for the DNA of a modern brand. Since consumers are changing, since people are changing, we're squeezing 36 hours into 24. Multitasking is out of control. Trust has been lost in institutions. You could get very despondent when you think about it. It's almost like an existential crisis. But you can't give up, and you have to think about, well, what was the golden rule we were raised with? The golden rule we were raised with was do unto others as you'd like done unto you. But I would challenge us with a new golden rule, which is to really treat people as they want to be treated, understanding that the model is inside out, that consumers are at the center. We can empower a nation and a world to not think about our divisions and the polarization, but to actually think about how we can treat others as they want to be treated, how we can think about this larger collective, how we can use this woman and so many of the thought leaders in this room as role models. And I challenge us all to just take small, tangible acts of kindness. You saw what Helen is doing. You heard what Lily is doing. Hopefully you'll get to have lunch with Deb and hear what she's doing. And there are so many others. And I think we can all take that and every day just do something for somebody. Walk that walk, and 1,000 or 1,000,000 flowers will bloom. So thank you so much.
I honestly cannot believe that Tina and I finished an hour and 1 minute, 20 seconds early. That's just remarkable.